Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today is the crew. It is Matthew Aguilar, Janelle Wheeler, and joining us once again, Mr. Evan Valentine is with us. And once again, we are proud to say that this episode is sponsored by Global Comics, and Global Comics is your digital resource for 100,000 comics that you can get for the membership price of basically one book. If you sign up for a gold membership, you can have access to pretty much every major publisher out there, thousands of books, new, old. You subscribe for new issues. You can purchase old issues and graphic novels, and there is so much to choose from. And every week we try to highlight something. So, Matt, what is your Global Comics pick of the week this week?
Oh, my Global Comics pick of the week is easy. It is Transformers. That is one of my favorite books. It's about to jump into a new era with a new creative team. And if you haven't been reading what Daniel Warren Johnson has been doing over there, you are missing out. So you can catch up on everything, the entire run with in one spot. Oh, you're muted, buddy.
And like we said, there are a bunch of publishers you can choose from, including Image Comics, which has a new upcoming series we are very excited about. So for my pick of the week this week, we are doing a preview of the new Image comic, I Saw Santa, which is brought to you in part by our very own Mr. Chris Killian. Let's get him in here.
What, guys?
Okay.
So hey, what's your faces? Look at this. It's so good to be back on Comic Book Nation. It's been a while.
Yeah, and just to give you some background here, Mr. Chris Killian, AKCK Comedy, one of our prominent on-screen personalities here at Comic Book, is also an accomplished comedian and now comic book writer. He wrote I Saw Santa along with his brother Andrew Sanders. It was illustrated by Thomas Nachlik. Did I get that right, Chris? I don't want to. Nachlik. Thank you. And of course, involved in this is our old buddy, Mr. Todd McFarlane, as this fits in, as I learned through the preview pages, fits into the Spawn universe. So first of all, we're going to do some glazing because, why wouldn't we? Congratulations, Chris. This is big, man. To go from comic book to actual comic books is a flex. And we're proud of you, buddy. And so far, I already know, just from the pages and the previews and everything I've heard about the book, despite how I feel about you in real life, I'm in for this. Like, I'm really in for this.
Wow.
Wow. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Important to
it hooked me. It's great. It's horror, it's holidays and lore, it's Spawn universe. You hit all the marks. And so I'm really excited to dig into this, but I'm more curious. How did you get here, man? We were just sending you on planes to random conversations. How did you get from that to this?
Honestly, this started about 2 years ago. And I've interviewed Todd, a dozen times at least. We went to Phoenix, Arizona to do this long interview with him. And I ended up just asking Todd, like, one day after one of our interviews, like, hey, if I ever wanted to pitch something to you, like, how would I go about doing that? Because I kind of got inspired, like, listening to him for 7 hours on this long interview talking about the process. And I've always I went to school for writing, I've written stand-up comedy for years and years. And so he was just like, just pitch it to me. And so I think he thought that was probably going to be the end of it. And I went home and like spent 2 weeks and wrote up a whole treatment and I sent it to him. And then I didn't think I'd hear back from him ever. And then our next interview we had lined up, he spent the whole time talking about reading this pitch. So, and he loved it and wanted to do it. And that was that. So, yeah.
Awesome. And how did you get the rest of the team involved, like the creative team?
Yeah, Todd really has been supportive of the whole thing. He put together, everything. Like, my brother and I had the idea that we kind of came up with together. But Todd was a huge fan of Nachlik and wanted to use him and as the artist. And he's kind of put together like just about everybody. The only thing that I've got together is that I'm friends with Toto Hristov, who does the cover for Cover C, and he did that cover for me as a favor. But everything else, Todd is pretty much put together.
Nice. And since you said you spent so much time kind of doing the treatment in this, let's put you on the spot. What's the elevator pitch for I Saw Santa?
So it takes place in the Spawn universe, and it is about a serial killer who blames Santa Claus for his tragic childhood. And so now every Christmas Eve, he leaves a murdered family for Santa to find.
So, I mean, we are excited to jump into this comic series, but I know you, and you've been in this game a long time. I feel like you're playing a longer game here, because I feel like this sounds like something that could easily go from being a comic to a movie to an annual type of Saw type deal. Are you just trying to get out of here and leave us and become your own mogul?
No. I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to spin all the plates and keep them from crashing to the ground. That's where I'm
really
at.
Watching you. Don't think you're gonna just walk away. Blood in, blood out. You know how it is around here. All right. But no, I'm all joking. This really looks excellent, Chris. You did a good job. I'm ready to get in and jump into issue 1 and kind of really see where this takes us. It's right up my alley, like I said. And then it mixes everything that's really in vogue right now. Horror, superhero kind of universe, that lore, and just, yeah.
We're very excited for it. I mean, there's I think that people think that on the outset that this is going to be very cheesy. It's actually very dark and very violent. I'll tell you this, that the first colorist that we approached for this actually turned us down because they were like, I love the story, but it's too violent. I can't color this. So I was like, wow, I get it. Also, like, I know no hate, but after I saw that first splash panel, when I got the art for that, I knew that, obviously Andrew and I had written it out in the script, but then to see it, I was like, wow, I need therapy. This is really awful. This is a terrible thing. But it's great. It's like, I think from a philosophical angle, I think there's a lot of things that we really cover in this book that I'm excited. I was very excited to explore. What is it like for a character like Santa Claus to exist in a very dark Spawn world? How does a character like Santa Claus feel when bad things happen to good children? Implications like that. I think that, Santa has to deal with some of his decisions over the years and what that entails. So we'll see.
That's the most interesting part for me. That's the part I love, is that the Santa aspect of it. Cause yes, I know I'm a Christmas person. Like, my tree just went down a month ago and we're already about to get a new tree. So like, I'm very much in the Christmas spirit, but like, horror's not typically my bag. But that stuff is really interesting to me. Is like, oh, well, what is it like if Santa has to be in this, like, not even just the regular world, which is dark enough,
right?
But Spawn's world. That's awesome. Like, I really love that stuff. So I'm so glad you're like diving into some of that stuff on top of just like,
I just think there's a lot of interesting components to it. You think about Santa Claus as a guy who leaves coal for children, but what about those children who, like, Santa might be the horrible things happen to those children. I think about, nature versus nurture, and the fact that, like, these children probably had bad things happen to them, which is why they're acting out. And now they're being punished by this omnipotent figure, further. And and so that's just very interesting to me. And I think it's kind of an untapped exploration of Christmas and some of these mythologies that we think about.
Super cool.
All right. We already got a lot there. I think we've done it. I think we've sold it. Can you tell us when, because this is kind of demented, when can we pick up the book?
Yeah. So part 1 comes out November 26th, and it's a double issue. So it's we've got 2 issues. They're both double issues. I think they're both 48 pages. And the second one comes out Christmas Eve, actually. So final order cutoff's November 3rd. Tell your comic book shops, your retailers, Global Comics, whoever you want, tell them that you want to pick it up so we can get as many copies. And to your point, Kofi, we can, maybe if we get enough pre-orders, we can do this again, because there may or may not be sequel opportunities.
All right. Hey, we're in. We're here to help promote and glaze anything from the comic book universe. So that's what we do here on Comic Book Nation. And I think this will be an easy one because I think this will be one that people respond to. So
I also like that somebody in the comments said Fred Claus touched on that. And I can promise you this is nothing like Fred Claus.
Oh man, I mean, I wouldn't be mad if you did something. I know you would do something great with a Fred Claus kind of premise, so I wouldn't be scared about it anyway. All right, I know you're busy, buddy. So, in addition to launching a comic, you got plenty of other work/life stuff to do. So we're gonna let you get to it, but we will be back, and we're gonna do a full kind of deep dive into I Saw Santa when it's out. We can never promise you. Somebody asked in the comments, Global Comics is a home for many of Image Comics new releases, and we can't confirm that yet because it's not November, but we will be back to tell you everywhere you can pick up I Saw Santa when it comes out. Trust that. All right. Thanks, Chris, for coming in, and congratulations again, man.
I miss you guys. It's so good to see everybody.
I know. It's so good to see you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So, if you're just joining us, that was Chris Killian, our buddy from Comic Book, our media personality who's launching a comic book that you should check out in November called I Saw Santa. And like I said, we'll be back to talk more about that when it officially drops. All right, let's get into our regular show today. We have a lot to talk about. In addition to geek news, we're going to be talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's new film, The Smashing Machine. We're going to catch up with Peacemaker. Some of us will catch up with Gen V, and we have a bunch of new comics to talk about as well. So let's jump into all of that. And first up, there was a rumor that hit on the MCU side this week, and I think it's worth talking about. We don't often dip into rumors, but I thought this was an interesting kind of conversational topic, possible grenade topic. So let's get it. Janelle, what's happening?
Yeah, I was actually so interested when you kind of like put this article on blast because I had to Google. I was like, who is this person and do we trust them? Basically, the long and the short of it is Alex Perez from the Cosmic, yes, Circus, sat down for a Q&A. I guess they go into Discord and he does a lot of like question and answer to super fans. And a few of the questions were about MCU things, particularly, it was focused on MCU, but particularly there was the question, I'm just going to read it off so that I'm quoting correctly. Hey, Alex, when the reset happens in the MCU, will it erase what happened prior, which a lot of us have been thinking about, talking about, kind of just hypothesizing ourselves. And the response was semi-disappointing. It reads, no, it'll just be a quick scrub of details the MCU wants to sort of forget and redo. This will involve the resurrection of some heroes and villains, as well as ensure that some minor events that bother fans and Kevin Feige. But all in all, it will be like 75 to 80% the original timeline with some minor changes. Sorry, this is mind-blowing to me because I was one of the people that thought things were going to get really crazy with this reset possibility. And this feels a little half-assed. Can I say that? It feels like a little bit of a cop-out from my side of things. And I hope that that's not what we're doing. I personally, just on my side of things, I don't know Alex Perez very well. So I'm like, do I trust this source? And it seems as though if we're reporting on it on Comicbook.com, we do. So I'm trying not to get down in the dumps about this, but I would be personally disappointed if this is what happens. And basically went on to say that like we could see the return of any hero we want, and like just doing a lot of different things that I feel like would take away the importance of really big events and prior things that happened in the MCU. What do you guys think about this? Kofi, should we start with you? Because I feel like you have opinions.
Yeah. So on this one, I'm just kind of concerned about the rumor from just a purely kind of philosophical standpoint. I'll leave it to y'all who waste all this time on the internet to kind of argue about whether, somebody's truthful or not. But for me, in conceptually, I think that this was kind of always the thing this was always the kind of elephant in the room we weren't talking about, which was what happens after we get to Secret Wars in Phase 7. And I think I've personally been of the opinion for a long time that this whole end of the multiverse saga, there's no story left here. There was never a story they kind of cracked for this whole thing, and it's just been a mess. And I think I've been on record on here saying that I believe wholeheartedly that like Doomsday is going to be very much kind of a meta narrative that's about whatever plot line comic book plot line they throw at us. The subtext of it all will really be about the Russos kind of coming back and having to sweep up the mess that nobody's been able to kind of clean up since they left, and having to use this Deus Ex Machina system of storytelling to literally just pick, choose, prune, clean up, get rid of, sub out, recast, all these things. And so I think it was always just a metric for resetting the business, not so much a story that's going to drive things. And so I think that's very much the end point I would have predicted, which is we're getting the MCU. Much of it will be familiar to you, so you don't have to do this whole shock and awe reset. Like, a lot of it will be so familiar. All the major beats we like will be there. All the major beats we don't like won't be there anymore. The people who are tired will get subbed out and recast. All of that stuff. And it'll just be like, oh, it's your universe, but slightly different now because of what happened. And it's like, that was always going to be what this is. Yeah. So we're going to get the same Spider-Man universe. Yeah, it's the same Spider-Man universe. You might have a Miles swinging around, It'll be the same MCU, except now mutants have been a thing, right? And so, like,
but isn't that a good thing? That's what we wanted. I don't know why. I don't look at this report and go, "Oh, that's a surprise," because that's what we wanted this to be. It needs to do that.
I think Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney in general is in a place where they don't want to. I think everybody wants the safe harbor of guaranteed business these days, but the problem is we've exhausted a lot of things. We spent all of the 2010s just doing rehashes, reboots, relaunches, or circular releases of the same kind of movies. And I think this year, more than anything, has proven that people are ready for original works again. You see Sinners, you see Weapons, you now see One Battle After Another. Like, these things are becoming bigger cultural touchstones as original movies, and it doesn't matter. Like, One Battle After Another's 3 hours long and people don't care. Like, there's still the hype around that is red hot, and I think people are ready for original, content experiences again, whether that's on TV with something like Severance or in the movies with these original films. Yeah. And so, like, I don't think the audience knows what they want anymore. I don't think we know what we want anymore. Until somebody gives us something
we wanted.
No, we do. But we got the internet and we all got chesty and started talking loud like we did. That's the whole thing about social media. That's why it's the cigarette of our time. None of us walked it around saying we are politics all the time, right? Nobody did that. None of us. Until we all got on social media and it became like driving down the highway in your car where you're a complete monster in your car to other human beings because of that premise. You'll say things to other human beings in cars you never say out loud when you're with another human being face to face. So it's just like social media. But now everybody's a movie critic. Now everybody knows everything. And now everybody knows what they want. But if they get what they want, they're mad. If they don't get what they want, they're mad. And it never works until somebody feeds them something original and they're like, oh, I like the taste of this. This is great. So I don't think the audience knows what we want. And I think Marvel's just going to throw the best stacked version of a universe at us that they can.
I think that's
smart. It's gonna be like Avengers and X-Men and Spider-Man. Go play. Like,
Yeah. I think what you're saying, Kofi, is that the MCU needs new original characters like Darkhawk and Sleepwalker and
right there.
Terror Inc.
Speaks facts. The truth is there. Darkhawk
Darkhawk could work. Darkhawk was like one of the things in the 90s that worked, so I wouldn't be mad at Darkhawk. But
Nova, let's get some New Warriors, some Night Thrasher in there. I'm just saying, like, let's get some awesome
Speedball
90s flavor in there, and it'll rule. Yeah, good Speedball, not Penance. Good Speedball.
But I mean, yeah, I think this was always the end point. We're getting the same Avengers universe, except there's X-Men running around. And it's like,
yeah, Reptile. Sorry.
And I think
good job, Damon.
What's going to be quote unquote new is what we liked originally. And I think that's what they're going back to. When phase 1 happened, nobody was excited about Thor. Like, Thor was not that popular. Nobody was excited about Captain America. Sorry, coffee. Captain America. And definitely nobody was like hyped for Black Widow and Hawkeye running around in the middle. What people were hyped for was the idea that all of these people were going to be playing together in the Avengers. That was the hype. Like, seeing them all together is the hype. So I think the hype for the new MCU will be, hey, what happens in that scene where Captain America has to sit down with Cyclops, you know? And they have to, or Mr. Fantastic and Cyclops have that argument about, are we public heroes? Oh, no, we're going to do for ours. You go be public, kind of like, you go be public lapdogs. We are going to fight for our people. You know, those kinds of interactions are going to be what's different, right? And if they're smart, that's where they're going to put at the forefront. Hey, here's an MCU, but here's something you was never possible for you to see before. These two characters meeting and talking. Like, let's go. And I think that if they do that right,
it won't happen, but Judon, I 100% agree with you. I would love to see that. It won't happen for a while. It could happen down the line, but it won't happen for a while.
I think Krakoa will happen, but it'll be like some amalgamation of Krakoa and
Utopia. It'll be a long, but also I don't think that's the intro. You know, I mean, that doesn't scream introduction to the X-Men. That seems like a great place to go with them.
Oh yeah, you got to have an Avengers versus X-Men that's much better than the comics, and at the end they have that.
Maybe you can do it right.
Yeah, be like, you know what, y'all got this. We're not even fighting.
Why are people? Okay, so here's the thing, though. Why? Oh, I am on record constantly. That is trash. That story is right there with Civil War II. It is trash. Okay, Civil War II was an apology to Iron Man, and they screwed over Captain Marvel to do it, which is terrible. AVX, they had all of the Avengers act nothing like themselves in order to shoehorn them into a story, and it's terrible. So maybe, I don't know. Everyone's calling for this for the Russos to do, and I know the teasers out there. It's like, AVX, why do you want to see trash on screen? That's terrible. I don't want to see that. Get that off my screen. That is awful. Like, no, or do it right. But you know, after Secret Invasion, I don't have all the faith. Okay, I don't have all the faith that that's gonna happen.
It's ironic. I wanted to share non sequitur. Kofi, you had kind of mentioned that nobody cared about, you know, Thor originally, and you know, some of those characters. I mean, really, like, nobody cared about Iron Man originally before, you know, the movie came out. But ironically enough, like, I got into the writing game because I had a friend who worked for an outlet who asked me, like, do you know, like, who the Guardians of the Galaxy are? And I'm like, oh, like Charlie 27 and Vance Astro. And they're like, no, the raccoon in the tree. Just, yeah, you're hired. You got it. But like, all these characters like eventually become like, it doesn't really, like, you know, it's you can make people love characters that they don't know about. And I think that the MCU has done a great job of that so far.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I know Matt's being professional over there, but if you gotta go answer the door, buddy, go. We're a low budget show. Go answer the door. We'll carry on. Your background's nice enough. Just go do what you got to do. Yeah, this is a live show. We be doing live shows and things be happening. Like, solicitors and people show up at our doors. It's crazy out here. But all right, I think we've kind of hammered this down to it. I think we all know kind of what we're going to get. I don't think we're surprised. I don't think people should be that disappointed, because I think this was always the mission. Like, we're at a deficit, guys. Like, okay, here's the line. The MCU used to be up here. Then it fell down here. So when you're down here, what you're really just trying to do first is bring yourself back up to the starting line.
That's
like,
a good
football
point.
terms, yeah, we are in the backfield. We need to get up to the line of scrimmage. And I think this stuff is just bringing us to a new line of scrimmage. After that, you've got to kind of make advancements down the field. But this is a corrective measure. Like, we have fallen off. Like, and if we're not saying that by now, I don't know what else to do. The MCU fell off hard, so we got to get it back. Anyway, on a more positive note, there's something interesting coming with Spider-Man Brand New Day. Gets more interesting by the minute that this movie is in development. And I was really happy to see this latest development in casting. Matt?
Yeah, so Black Lightning fans will be especially ecstatic because Marvin Jones III will be playing Tombstone in Brand New Day, Spider-Man Brand New Day, which to this point, Tombstone has not gotten any live action love so far, which is nuts to me actually, because I think that character's so, I don't know, like I'm amazed that that character hasn't been done. But to this point, like we've gotten 2 lizards and we haven't we've gotten 2 Kurt Connors and we haven't gotten a Tombstone yet. But I'm excited for that. Also for fans of who read the recent, not this current run, but kind of the big arc before it, which was Gang War. I was really excited to see that aspect brought out, and it appears rumors that kind of suggested we were going to get some of that in Brand New Day, especially like with Punisher involved and all those things. And now all of that is starting to coalesce, especially if you bring someone in like Tombstone. So perfect person to play him. Basically, dude already played him in Black Lightning. You're just gonna give some prosthetics now, and that's pretty much what the change is gonna be. So I'm very excited for that. What are you feeling?
Yeah, if you don't remember, if you didn't watch Black Lightning in the Arrowverse, he played Marvin Jones played Tobias Whale, the main antagonist of that show, who went through all kinds of. I mean, talk about an arc. Like, yeah, they gave that guy a massive arc in that show. He was just so good they kept bringing him back season after season because, I mean, he just ate the screen. And I've met him in real life. I've actually, partied with him at Comic-Con on rooftop. Good guy, like real good brother, man. Like he's just great actor, real well trained and humble, and just he got a kick out of doing Black Lightning, and I think he's going to get a real kick out of doing this. And yeah, I mean, let's just keep it real. Like Tombstone was kind of a wasted character until they kind of made him black and reinvented him and put him back out there. It was just like, yeah, well, now he's a black guy from the hood, like, and he just came up. But that's exactly what they did. And like in Gang War, and it's compelling. Like you see like his family, like his whole ethos, and like they gave him real character. Like he is a street guy who essentially is like an old school gangster. He wants to like protect the things that he loves, and he does that by believing you gotta have a iron hand and smash other wolves that are gonna come take what's yours. And he can't be smashed because he's Tombstone. So like he's just like, yeah. And I think Marvin Jones is gonna do, like, you already know, like a scene with him and Bernthal and just going through Tombstone's powers, like Bernthal pulling out a gun and trying to like shoot him, and then him being like, "Come on, man, what are you doing?" Like
that scene right there. Like if it's done well and they actually give it time right, oh my gosh, like that could be worth the entire movie.
Oh yeah, and I agree with Brywood, and the Brywood in the comics is exactly right too. The other thing I want to see is at some point, even if it's a post-credit scene, just see Tombstone sit down with Wilson Fisk, like in a scene with Jones and D'Onofrio and all that. Like, yeah, we're cooking with gas. Like, these are all great personalities I am very excited to see coming together. I didn't expect it to be in a Spider-Man film, but here we are.
One of the things that I love so much about everything that I've been hearing about Brand New Day is that like I've been pulling for so long to see a Spider-Man gang war movie. The idea of Spider-Man fighting against like all of these mafiosos of New York City, because it kind of like works in terms of like it helps. I hate to use the phrase grounded because it's like thrown around a lot, but I think like this idea works so well for Peter in terms of being grounded and like having a stronger connection to New York City, which I think is something that's like, it's kind of been shown a little bit in the original Home trilogy, but being able to see it here with, with Tombstone and with like, there have been obviously Scorpion has been confirmed and Punisher has been confirmed, and the idea of like throwing in the Hulk. My wish list for this movie is that somehow the Hulk finally becomes Joe Fixit, because who doesn't want to see a giant gray gangster version of Bruce Banner showing up in New York City? So like everything I've seen so far has worked really well, and like having this be a movie that is just chock full of supervillains, I think would work so well in terms of making it, different from what we've seen before, while still like being really rooted in terms of like Spider-Man's, earlier stories. Peter has never been lower than he is like right now, based on the events of based on the events of the last movie. So like I'm really interested to see what they have cooking with this, because man, boy oh boy, have I been waiting for a gang war movie.
If you have not put in a Joe Fix-It theory feature into our
I did already.
queue.
I totally did.
Right,
I
okay,
did
good.
like
I was gonna say, don't come up here and
earlier
start
this
talking
summer.
this stuff. We knew you could use that. We need the traffic, so like, yeah, let's get on that. But yeah, people like, yeah, and I've said this again. What got me? I have an older brother who's 10 years older than me, so I started collecting, comics in the 90s when X-Men launched, but he was collecting through the late 70s and 80s. So I got to see like a lot of Spider-Man stories, and that's what got me in. And I know other podcasts, like Midnight Boys or something, joke about this all the time, but like you go back and read all like 70s, 80s Spider-Man stories, they are urban as hell, man. Like they are in the alleyways and streets of New York City. It's all about things functioning in the city, from the reporters to the crime to the mafiosos to the average working person trying to get by. Like the city is a major character in Spider-Man. Spider-Man didn't travel a whole lot, and like deep in those streets, and it was urban drama. Like there was affairs and betrayals. His worst nemesis was a dude with killer waves. Like it was nuts. And so like we have in this home trilogy lost the New York character of it. Like we spent so much time in Homecoming.
We never had it.
Yeah, in DC. Then the second film was not at all in New York. And then the third film is kind of in New York, but not really making the city a part of it, except the Statue of Liberty's there. Right. And so, like, yes, we've never really gotten in this version. And I think Amazing Spider-Man 1 is probably the closest we've gotten to just like having it feel like this is Spider-Man in the alleyways and the streets and doing all that stuff.
I thought Sam Raimi's Spidey nailed that, and I thought the first Amazing especially nailed that, and even parts of the second one got that right. I mean, how does Fantastic Four feel more like a New York movie than Spider-Man? That's absurd.
Yeah,
it's not even on the same earth. Like that's ridiculous. Like, why?
Yeah.
Come on, get that right.
But Sam Raimi's. All I'll say is Sam Raimi's New York is a very heightened New York, right? It's all those kind of campy, heightened newsreels. It's Lucy Lawless playing the Spider-Man theme and those cut scenes and all that. It's very kind of Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. I think Amazing felt like real New York City. Like you felt like Uncle Ben got shot in those streets. You're like, oh yeah. Yeah, I want to see this. And just seeing Spidey trying to wisecrack navigate his world way around a gangster underworld is always the most hilarious thing about it, because it's the juxtapositions. The gangsters are so super serious and Spider-Man's so unserious. And like, yeah, until he gets his butt thrashed pretty hard. Like by one of these
Tom
guys.
Holland's Spidey against Marvin's Tombstone, like that is that has all the ingredients to bring that to life really, really well. That's a great, like that has so much potential. I'm really hoping they nail that. And yes, Brightwood, Hawkeye did Daredevil too. New York. Well, it's not like we don't have great New York stuff in the MCU. I'm just saying Spidey stuff is lacking.
Yeah. Yeah. All I'm going to say about Raimi's is I always take that comment that John Smith brought. Like, we got a Chicago train. Don't like any NYC person, unless you were out in the middle of Queens, you were like, that ain't happening. That's not happening. All right. We also got a little bit more Marvel news. We heard a little project that is just bubbling under the radar kind of, but at one point we were excited about back in 2021, 2022, I forget when. But yeah, it's coming up now. Vision Quest, Matt, what's going on?
Were we excited for Vision Quest? I don't know. I'm not so super excited for Vision Quest. I'm super spicy today. I apologize. I'm super spicy today.
Over here.
I was not caring much for this, but look, they're getting us talking. Number one, we had a kind of a series of things, right? So like rumors are that they've cast the older Tommy, who obviously at the end of Agatha All Along, we know that, hey, like we're on the search for the brother. All right, now we got to go ahead and get that. We saw the younger Tommy, obviously. And now, there's kind of it's like there's a name, I think it's codename Tucker, I think is what the name is right now. But people are like, that's probably nobody. That's probably Tommy. But we obviously don't know that yet or confirmed. Elizabeth Olsen has also been getting people talking because she's done a series of interviews, and obviously Wanda as of right now, is dead. But no one really believes that's going to be the case moving forward. And people love that character. And she's been getting people talking not only about kind of the aspects and the darker aspects that they're going to possibly explore in Vision Quest as far as grief, and those things are going to carry over from WandaVision, and they also they played a big part in Agatha all along. But she's also wanting, and she's been on this for a minute. Elizabeth Olsen has been wanting to do House of M for a long time. She's made that clear for years. She has wanted to do that story, and with the X-Men in sight and Vision Quest possibly setting things up, it feels like it's actually perhaps could come to fruition at some point, because she's talking about Avengers versus X-Men, but in a very different way, not that big crossover event, but in something that affects mutant kind. Mutant kind's not here yet, but that could very well change after Secret Wars, right? So there's a lot of things in play. But it does make Vision Quest more interesting. The other big thing is that there's been a lot of castings, but not for human people, a bunch of AIs. And if you have been missing the AI side of the MCU, it looks like Vision Quest is going to be your jam, because not only are we evidently getting James Spader back as Ultron, but Friday is making a return. Edith, obviously Jarvis is going to be involved, and we're going to kind of get this, look, we know that White Vision, that opens up all of those aspects that you can explore there, and this is a really interesting angle. Again, this show, I don't know what the hell this show is, because I just described 3 different shows, I feel like, but whatever, if they can make this work, there are interesting components here. But yeah, it's weird. The show has taken a very odd journey, but again, so did Agatha all along, and that turned out to be okay. So yay, there you go.
Good. Give it a pretty good at least.
It's like
I was hard on Agatha all along. I was hard on Agatha all along. There were aspects I did not like.
I mean, it would be interesting if all these different technological characters got together and began to do some kind of iRobot, self-determination, AI. That would be an interesting arc to start building in the MCU. Yeah, what if, we did kind of squander the Ultron thing, and AI robots and stuff is about to explode here. So I would bring that all back and start a techno supremacy, make that a threat, make that a thing, and just do it old school, seed it. Just seed it now. Let us get done with the multiverse madness stuff. Get us back to this universe. And meanwhile, the computers have been doing stuff while all this other stuff has been happening. The computer people have been doing things. I will say that Carrie Condon and, Girl Friday are the reason why my series is now Irish permanently. I feel like I just can't. I need that after I hear it. Plus, it's Carrie Condon, so she's awesome. If you haven't seen F1, this is yet again another free ad for F1.
Is this your 8th review of F1?
I finally saw it, Kofi.
Oh, wait. Pause the podcast. Janelle, late game movie take. I love them. What did you think?
Oh, dude, I absolutely loved it. I feel like some of the hardcore
F1 head,
peeps wouldn't be as into it, because maybe they'd be a little harsh on certain details, but overall, if you can just enjoy it as a movie, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. I hope there's more. I don't know if there will be, but I absolutely loved it. So good.
All right. Yeah. No, I thought it was out of all the movies I've seen this year, F1 is still up there with one of my top theatrical experiences.
Oh, heck
Not just because I went with my dad, which was an awesome outing, but because Joseph Kosinski makes movies for movie experience in the theaters, whether it's Top Gun or this. I've never been interested in F1 until I saw this movie. So mission accomplished. And also, it's just a great story with great actors and a great traditional kind of sports drama movie, right? Like Brad Pitt, Carrie Condon, and Damson Idris, all of them came to Javier Bardem. Yeah. Great cast. All right. That was another free ad for F1. So let's keep it moving. We are going to take a break, but when we come back, we are going to talk about what's in theaters this week and what's on TV this week. So stay tuned. And comics. right, one last free ad for F1. Responding to the chat, the Blu-ray will be available on October 7th. So next week, you will be able to pick up F1 on Blu-ray and physical media, Steelbook, all that stuff if you are a collector. All right, that'll be that. Let's move on. In theaters this week, and you can find my review up on Comicbook.com right now, we have The Smashing Machine, which is an interesting film that kind of crosses some borders for us. It is very much part of Cinema Nation and the other side of my film critic life, which is not talking about Captain America and Superman's underwear placement, but actually looking at cinematic films and doing cinematic film analysis as a Nashville film critic. So I went out and saw The Smashing Machine, which is, of course, a biopic or biopic memoir about a couple years, pivotal years in the life of Mark Kerr, former wrestler turned MMA fighter turned brand ambassador for the UFC in its earliest days and one of its earliest breakout stars. So this film stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Kerr. It stars Emily Blunt as his girlfriend Dawn, and real life fighter, I'm blanking on his name, Ryan Bader as Mark Colton, another prominent early UFC star who was good friends with Mark Kerr. And the story is about Kerr and his kind of mentality and this relentless drive. He was undefeated, his kind of chasing the highs of combat, of crowd approval. And as the story evolves, his more kind of buried secrets of addiction, the kind of problems and toxicity in his relationship, all of these things kind of building to a head as his career gets into this kind of unstable place. As UFC begins to grow, more fighting styles come into play, more rules come into play, and this kind of brute guy, the Smashing Machine, begins to kind of lose his way in all of this. So here's what I will say. This movie was directed by Benny Safdie, who directed Good Time with Robert Pattinson, Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler, and there was another film after that. I keep forgetting because Benny Safdie had like another film after that, but I don't know if I saw that one. Anyway, so Safdie is a very big kind of known name now. He kind of split with his brother, and he's been doing his own thing as an actor and a director. He's been in Oppenheimer. He's been in other stuff. But The Smashing Machine is very much like Uncut Gems or Good Times in that it's about a deeply kind of morally compromised and flawed protagonist who is still kind of weirdly kind of charismatic, and you're able to kind of attach to and like this person, even though you can tell, and Safdie does a very good job of this in all of his movies, of showing you that this person's perspective compared to like the world around them is not necessarily aligned, right? Like Adam Sandler's guy in Uncut Gems is a total scumbag. Like he's cheating on his wife and his family and doing all this, but in his mind, he's this very savvy kind of, well-angled moving guy. But by the end of the film, you literally find out like, no, buddy, you're not like the hustler you think you are, right? And so this movie is kind of about that. But since it's about a real life guy and it's a biopic, it's not as like harsh as Uncut Gems. There is sympathy and grace given to these characters. And I think that's both kind of the strength and the weakness of it. Obviously, the strength is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who has been spiraling out himself. And this is very much a meta, and I write about this from the beginning of the review, kind of a meta movie for him. This is about a guy who's been winning, unstoppable, big hype guy, but then it starts to stumble, right? And he's stumbling, it's getting hard, people start coming down on him. It's what The Rock has been through the last few years, since Black Adam, since all these movies kind of stumbled. Red Notice, Red One, Rampage, Black Adam. Like nothing's really hit for The Rock. People started to kind of get tired of the whole Rock. He was going around with his chest out all the time, sprinkling Terramana all over the place. And everybody was just like, okay, man, like we've had it with The Rock shtick, right? So to his credit, and I titled my review, Wonderfully Humbled and Better for It, this is The Rock kind of scaling back down, even as he bulks up, getting back into that acting bag we saw him jump into in the 2000s when he wanted to become an actor, and he chose those weird roles like what's the Get Shorty sequel that he was in, and then like Southland Tales, than all these other kind of smaller films he was in. He was doing real acting roles. It wasn't until he got successful that it just became, we're going to see The Rock in every movie, right?
Yeah.
So this is him once again acting, doing it, and he does a great job here. Like, he does a great job. Safdie does a great job of, again, from the very opening monologue and hearing this guy talk, you're like, this dude's nuts. Like, he's just talking about the joy of causing other people pain, beating somebody bloody, the crowd roaring, and what a high that is. And he's talking so earnestly about it. And they put it up against scenes of him in the ring, and the sports action is great in this because it's brutal. Like, the sound effects, it just sounds like somebody packing meat every time somebody hits somebody. Like, it doesn't sound like the movie romanticized version of fighting. No, it sounds and looks like UFC. Like, yeah, you just got punched in the face. You can feel the CTE from every impact. You see the cuts, the blood, all that. They do very good effects and all that. And it doesn't look fun. You're like, yeah, these guys are going in there to kill themselves and kill each other. And they are really hurting and damaging their bodies, their minds, their lives, the people around them, like, who have to watch all this. Like, it is an interesting thing, but it's not damning. It's not condemning. And again, nobody's guilty. Like, Mark is flawed. Dawn is flawed. And Emily Blunt does a good Toxic Girl really well because it's not completely like, oh, you hate her. No, like, the scenes of them together just are so good because they're mundane, but like just a morning scene. She gets up. She's trying to make his protein shake. He's very neurotic. And he's like, how many bananas did you use? No, that's not right. He dumps the whole thing out. He makes it again. She's playing with the cat. He doesn't like the cat on the couch. And all of this is very mundane. But in the back of your mind, you're like, dude, this dude's like a tiger. Like, if he spazzes out at any point, like, he's going to hurt people. He could hurt her. He could hurt like everything. And that's the tension of the movie. Because Mark Kerr and the way Johnson plays him is this guy who's always like, no, you got to be in control of your emotions. You don't yell. You don't lose your temper. But of course, nobody's really like that. And it builds. So in that sense, it's very well acted. It's very well done. It is a biopic. So like, it is a standard formula. You know the beats. You know the highs, then the low, then the comeback, then the kind of middling ending of contemplation, right? But Safdie does a good job of making a point to this about connecting the fight we do in the ring to the fight we're fighting inside of us, to like, you know, all of that, and to come to some kind of resolution about that. And is a very interesting, if not abrupt ending. It doesn't end where you think it does or how you think it does. And it's very interesting. So yeah, pretty solid biopic, but as a comeback vehicle for The Rock, like, this will be a moment for him, and he deserves the award consideration for this, and he earned it. Like, he dug deep and went back and had to really kind of go back somewhere, lose the ego, and start over again, and good for him. So I would say anybody who's a sports fan, if you're an MMA fan, if you're a biopic or drama fan or a cinema fan, you should check out The Smashing Machine. It's A24, and they're killing it. So they know what they're doing over there. All right.
Yeah, Kofi, I wanted to ask about this specifically. So I myself am like a big fan of like The Wrestler and Iron Claw. Iron Claw was amazing. Would you kind of put this at the same level as kind of those ones?
I think this is a little bit more focused than Iron Claw is, because I think by the end of Iron Claw, it's so far out there with like the tragedies and everything. And even though like Zac Efron, that does bring to I still cry at that end scene when he's playing with his sons and all that and stuff. I don't think this hits as profoundly, because this is not going to hit you in the family bone at all. This is very much about one man and his experience. But there is an epilogue, and this is not a spoiler, that has the real Mark Kerr in it. And it's very well done, because it's like, again, Safdie's so good about just letting people do their thing and letting the character kind of define themselves on camera. And yeah, and by the end, you're just kind of smiling and you're like, okay, like, you know, it's a feel good ending for a biopic. And yeah, because the Mark Kerr is still very much around. He's out doing interviews now, but it is very interesting. And like I said, yeah, they're just Blunt and Johnson by the climax of this, when when the train crashes, like, the work those two do in there and their scenes together are amazing. And I could see their relationship right now working, and they're good for each other. Like, whether it's Jungle Cruise or this or something, like, they play off each other very well. Yeah. So go check this out. This is one for award season that's, I think, a lot of mainstream people can connect to, because there's a lot of MMA fans, there's a lot of wrestling fans, and if you're either of those, this is something for you to watch. All right, let's talk about stuff we can all talk about. I'm tired. So, Peacemaker, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, yeah. All right, so let's talk about episode 7. We're on Earth X. And, you know, I'm just going to say, so I can shut up, kudos to James Gunn, because this episode, I don't think goes where anybody thinks it's going to go, or play out quite how anybody thinks it's going to play out. And by the end, I found it to be a very harrowing, kind of seriously, almost like sad character piece for Peacemaker, but really well done. And I had posted in our comic book forums, which you should be a part of, that what Gunn has done is there's no spectacle that I was expecting. It was the emotional fallout that I was really kind of like had the tension about. And boy, howdy, this emotional fallout was heavy. So yeah, kudos to kind of taking us swerving directions in a penultimate episode. Well done for me. But that was me. How'd you guys feel? Janelle, let's go with you. You've been real quiet.
Yeah. Wow, like this went in so many different directions for me. I would say this had so much emotion behind it in so many different ways. It wasn't just our Peacemaker, but also like his father. Like, who is this dude? I love him. Like, he's a nice guy and he's stable. And man, they have no problem just killing people like in the show. I love it. I love that they're unafraid to really like go there and kind of, I guess, make you like someone and then take him out like immediately. There was a lot going on. Is the next episode the finale, I think? Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, but I'm curious what you guys are expecting for the finale, because I feel like so much happened here that it feels like I need another season. Like with his brother coming back to get him, how are they going to get all of that wrapped up in one episode?
I don't think they are. I think they've seeded something that could be grown. Like, I think that was a pivotal kind of point where Harcourt almost took him out but didn't, and that was an obvious setup for something. And I don't think it'll be settled in Peacemaker season 2, episode 8.
So we'll just like figure out our world, and then we'll bring the other world in like next
I think
season.
It could be, something in Peacemaker season 3, or a larger arc for the DCU in general.
Oh,
because
snap!
Invasions from Earth X are...
But they did show little like teases of them in other worlds for the next episode. So that's wild too.
Well, yeah, because Argus in the main thing is now going to be running around with that portal and exploring alternate universe. So we're doing a full DCU multiverse here. Earth X is one of them. And I think at a certain point, you could have an invasion from Earth X, as we've seen in the comics, as we've seen in the Arrowverse. Like, those guys come back and they do try to come get that other world eventually. So I think James Gunn's doing a good job spinning a lot of plates. But we don't need to wait for that. Argus could stumble into all kinds of stuff. Argus could open a door to an absolute universe. We don't know what they're planning, but
don't tease me.
Like, we know that Gunn's not afraid to get into this comic bookishness because we are just steeped in it already. So it's not a slow rollout. I think for next week, the only resolution we need to really do, and to his credit, is where does the character of Christopher Smith end up in this? Because the preview, and again, I watched the previews at the end of the episode, I think this is the bend where they all sit down, and it's kind of meta because they're looking at themselves and then they're comparatively looking at this new DCU, and they're saying, like, yeah, we're psychos in this context. Like, we've got to become heroes. And I think that will be the turn that we see. What that means for the DCU, like, is it the Outsiders? Is it this? Is it that or the other? I'm not so much concerned with, like I said, I think Gunn's done a good job. I just want to see how Christopher Smith resolves all this personally. And Cena, as people said in the chat, acted his butt off in this penultimate episode.
I think one of the things that I really have been enjoying about this season, I mean, aside from like the humor and everything, that's one of Gunn's strengths, has been the way that it has simultaneously been bigger and smaller than season 1, because obviously this is, you know, as you both mentioned, this explores the multiverse, and the season finale is hinting at a, you know, a bigger look at that. But really this has been way more about like Chris's character. And even though like the first season had the big storyline of like, you know, the alien invasion and people getting possessed and things like that, but this season has kind of been a really, I feel like, a bigger character study for John Cena's character here, and it has really worked in that regard. As Janelle said, like it is kind of gonna be interesting to see how this wraps up, because it does feel like you could immediately have like an entirely new season take place like wherever they're, you know, gonna go with this, because it feels like so much has been opened up with it. But yeah, I'm interested to see where the season finale takes us, and like how, you know, Kofi, you kind of mentioned that it could be leading into more bigger stuff for the DCU in general. So like I'm interested to see kind of where they go with this, and like whether, you know, the multiverse does play more of a bigger role moving forward in James Gunn's DC.
Matt, you started to say something, buddy.
Oh, no, I was just listening.
Oh, I thought when Evan started, you were starting to say something. Well, what do you got to say? Because you're always kind of iffy on Peacemaker.
No, I have not eaten crow. I have enjoyed far more season 2. I have enjoyed far more than season 1. And it goes back to, part of it goes back to Cena. Like Cena has just been able to explore so much about the character this season compared to the last season. And I just think like he's kind of been allowed to flourish in this role and take it to some really cool places. So like I just love that while all this insanity is going on the outside, which by the way, how they handled Vigilante in these back-to-back episodes and how he ties back to this now another tragic event in Chris's life. Like, I just thought that was so well done, and the way they've played with expectations, especially in this episode, but also last episode too. Gunn has done that so well, right? We all saw the Earth X, or not all, a lot of us saw the Earth X thing coming, right? Of like, oh, this is going to be kind of this crazy world where, you know, we saw like some of the racist overtones and things like that, but they have found ways to still make you keep guessing, moving people around the board, like having people represent different things. It's just, they've done that so well. But Cena, at the core of it, is the character of Chris, the character of Peacemaker, I care about. I genuinely care about. I am interested to see where he goes, how he handles things, and that wasn't present for me in season 1. So, you know, all the kudos. Season 2 has been
great. Really good point. I agree with you, Matt. Like, I feel emotionally connected to this whole cast now. And season 1, I was just kind of annoyed about the aliens.
Yeah, it's been really good. So yeah, all praise on my end. I know I've been spicy today, but it's been a very spicy episode for me.
I like Peacemaker, spicy, but
Peacemaker is not getting any spice. Peacemaker is great. I have to give it full credit.
Okay, all right, and there you go. I think we can skip past Gen V. I have like 10 minutes to finish in the episode, and apparently they're a crazy 10 minutes. So I don't have anything to say very much. I know Janelle's off of it, and it's just right now we're in the middle of the season. So I don't think we need to kind of belabor the point on this. I think we can come back and start getting into when it gets towards the end of the season. We'll kind of sum it all up. I would rather move on to comics. Or no, I had, for me and Evan, I had Alice in Borderland. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that real quick. So on the anime front this week, we have My Hero Academia is coming back next week. Just to be
or actually in tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow. Next week is tomorrow.
First start of the final season starting tomorrow.
Okay, so yeah, and Demon Slayer Infinity Castle is still killing it at the box office.
Still killing it.
Yeah, still killing it. So it's a hype time. Anime has arguably, and we haven't written this yet, but I'm going to get to it, has anime and horror have kind of proven to be superhero genre killers this year. They yeah, it's crazy, but
Demon Slayer has beaten every other superhero movie that has come out this year, which is unbelievable. I'm a huge anime enthusiast, obviously, but even I'm surprised by that one because it's at it's over 650 million worldwide,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
that's just wild.
Yep. And they're going to make $1 billion off this Infinity Castle trilogy. Easily. They're going to make $1 billion plus. So
Yep.
that's going to be a game changer. So go see Infinity Castle if you're a Demon Slayer fan and you haven't yet. You should be. But let's talk about Alice in Borderland.
Mhm.
So during the kind of Eastern TV wave that washed over us during the pandemic with Squid Game and other things from Korea to Japan, we got all kinds of fun series. One of them was Alice in Borderland. And what was the other one? Because it was this and the one about the high school, right? What was the other one about the high school?
Man, the one about the
I get them confused all the time. Like I thought when they said Alice in
yeah,
Borderland, going back,
oh yeah,
yeah,
I know what you're talking. Kageryu, or sorry, I totally forget the name of it right now, but it's called Bet on Netflix. Is that obviously they went with the kind of, as you can see from my pronunciation of the original title, they went with a title that's a little easier to say. But yeah, no, to kind of to fill people in, Alice in Borderland is not. It did have an anime adaptation that was released a couple years ago, but this one is more of a live action interpretation. It you know, as Kofi was mentioning, it's kind of like a death game, which is effectively, it's like Squid Game. It's like a lot of these other, you know, it's like the Hunger Games. It's like a bunch of
Battle
different things
Royale,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like Battle Royale, which is actually returning to theaters this month. If people want to see that, I love Battle Royale.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But Alice in Borderland kind of ups the stakes in terms of how this game is played. Like while Squid Game is obviously like a life or death scenario, Alice in Borderland is far more supernatural / technologically advanced kind of dealy. The games, like the first game, like for example, involves like lasers and picking a door, and the lasers like shoot through the heads of those who choose wrongly. So it kind of it ups the stakes in that regard, and you are far more it's far more terrifying in that respect. And the third and final season is currently out on Netflix. It has been upping the stakes as well for its characters, and has been doing a really good job of kind of following in the footsteps of Squid Game. And with the anime boom and everything, who knows, maybe it'll return to anime in general, but it has ridden the wave of, you know, productions from Eastern countries that have kind of been able to find a footing in the West and everything. And I think that Alice in Borderland, if you haven't seen it, but you're a big fan of like Squid Game, you're a big fan of some of these death games in general, there's a reason why we're talking about it right now, just in terms of how it's become so popular. You know, the twists and turns that the series has had so far. So watch the first episode if you were a big fan of Squid Game. See if you like it. See if it kind of drags you into it. Much as I kind of mentioned, much more kind of supernatural and weird than Squid Game. But that might be your bag. So give it a shot.
Yeah. We've actually written an article about a feature about this, and I will back this up. Both of these shows, Squid Game, Netflix is invested in. They have 3 seasons. And if you could put them comparatively, Alice in Borderland steps over Squid Game in seasons 2 and 3 and is
My
better.
gosh.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Much better. Yeah.
I'm so excited to watch this. I didn't even know this existed.
Oh
yeah. No, the death game sequences in this are some of the best ever done in live action. The production of this, and each season has gotten better. So the point where this last season, they had the budget, they had everything, and they did not waste it. Like the set pieces, the games are insane. They're all head screws. Like, for instance, in this season, just to give you one game, is a train, and you have to go from the back car through 8 cars to the front. 4 of the cars have poison gas. 4 of the cars have oxygen that pumps into them. And you have to bet before the gas comes out which car is which. And it's a odds game. If you use up all because you get a gas mask with a poison like a antidote canister. So you only get 4 of those. And so if you don't bet correctly, there's no possible way for you to make it all the way to the front. And yeah, it's just that straightforward and just that brutal. And how they get out of all of these sequences, you will be on the edge of your seat. And like Evan said, this one involves it's not human capability. Like Squid Game is limited by human capability. These are supernatural / sci-fi advanced forces that are at work in this death game arena. And so, like, yeah, if you try to leave, if you do anything, there's a laser from the sky that just comes down and through your head and you're done. So there is no leaving, there's no running, there's no, like, yeah.
Rude.
And it's just, you play the game, you enter the game of free will, and you have to play through. In some games, a lot of people can win. Some games, only one person can win. It's all different. Each game, it's all chance. And so the character relationships, the bonds, that form, all that stuff gets really crazy. But it's a really good show. And yeah, season 3 is nuts and a really good finale. So check that out because, yeah, Alice in Borderland is right up there. And I think it's above Squid Game by the end. So, and just for reference,
it wouldn't take
the show.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Squid Game season 2 was whack.
Season 3 was bad too. Anyway.
I mean, they at least had some games in there. Like, there were a couple good games in there, but like hide and seek or whatever, that was kind of cool. No, but this instantly, you'll see the games in here are instantly 10 times better. Like, they're more thought out and intricate. They were like designed by gamers. They're like, yeah, one's like you have to run around this apartment complex looking for this one person to take out, but they can fake it, they can hide it. There's a game of zombies in this 3rd season with card game. Like, people are trying to affect and be secret zombies, and then you get shotgun cards which can kill people who are zombies, and like, it's a whole thing. But they do it really well. They plot it really well. They explain it really well. You understand the game, the stakes, and how complicated it is. And they're thrilling sequences. And just for the record, the other show we were talking about is All of Us Are Dead, which is also still finishing up on Netflix eventually.
Oh yeah, they're working on season 2 as we speak, and that one's way more of like zombies and trying to survive like a high school versus. I suppose you could sell it as a death game. It's kind of,
well, it was just, it all came out. I was saying they all came out in that same wave, like for a minute. Everyone obsessed with anything that Netflix could slap on a Korean, a Japanese, a Hong Kong production label on it. Everybody was like, I'm in, So anyway, that's Borderlands season 3. Go check that out on Netflix. It's worth it. Let's talk comics. We've abandoned the main lines. We ain't doing your main lines. We're going into
we really have, boy.
We're going into the alt lines, starting with Marvel. One of the only things worth reading this week, which was Ultimate Wolverine number 10.
Woo, boy, what a man! I adore this book. I didn't even really put it together that, by the way, we were talking about all Ultimate and Absolute. So I read them back to back in the rundown. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Didn't even mean to do that. That's just quality rising to the top, I will say. So for Ultimate Wolverine, this book has been fantastic and way more. I will say, like, coming into Ultimate Wolverine as a series, I didn't think it would be this good. I have been like, I was excited for it, but I didn't think it would be this good. And month in and month out, this book has proven to be excellent. And this issue to me is no different because half the book is just a conversation between Logan and Victor that I was just enthralled by. I was in it. I wanted to, they've been able to form such a bond between these two, even though for the first half of the book, dude didn't talk and what they weren't in the same place, and yet they've been able to make that such a compelling dynamic between them. And again, here their exchange is great. We get to see an Omega Red fight, which is always dope. The artwork in this has been killer, and we leave things in a really interesting place. A big showdown is coming, and if you thought this showdown was going to be that, it looks like bigger things are in store. So I really dug this issue. What did you guys think?
This is a book that's cooking for me. I don't even have to get that deep. It is cooking, and it's cooking hot, and it is cooking well. So, and just seeing the big question, because this book rode really heavily on the initial arc of Wolverine largely being absent and it being Winter Soldier in this kind of scary blank slate version of Logan. But now the book has evolved into bringing Logan back, his consciousness, his personality back. And it hasn't dropped the ball, because I was scared it could drop the ball when we had to kind of get into that. But it's been very interesting. It's interesting to see these remixed character positions, to see Sabretooth of all people being like, yo, I got to save these kids and do this. and bringing in the lore of the Maramusa blade and all that and how it's going to be used is great. And yeah, Colossus has never been more of a bastard and terrifying than in this book.
Oh man, so good. Yes, also I will clarify my comments. Yes, Damon, because I was talking mainline Marvel. There's a lot of mainline DC I'm enjoying. It's just mainline Marvel is just not really my jam right now as much. But yes, this book has been great. Cannot recommend it more. Let's jump over to the DC side of things though, to Absolute Evil, which is kind of the first crossover book between the Absolute Universe, but not in the way that anyone really expected, right? People were kind of going, oh, like we'll probably see Wonder Woman team up with Batman or something, and we'll see Superman team up with this person or whatever, or at least interact. But the first real interaction of the Absolute Universe is actually on the villain side, and it makes, again, this world does things that you don't really see coming. And you know, for what is essentially a bunch of people around a table talking for the entirety of an issue, I was in. Janelle, you had a chance to read this one. What did you think of this one?
Oh my gosh. Well, I just got excited because I saw Evan go like head explosion. So yes, same Z's. Yeah, I had no idea what to expect on this. I completely forgot that you prepped us and you said that this was going to be the crossover thing. And I just went in blind, which was so fun because I had no idea what was happening for the first whole part of this. I didn't know who anyone was. I didn't know what was like. When I saw Wonder Woman like pop up on the screen, I got so excited. I was like, oh my God, it's Wonder Woman. And then I was like, oh my God, Superman. And then I was like, oh my gosh, now it's all making sense. What a fun, exciting time that I got to experience this like that because I wasn't overly prepped. I just I sound like a broken record, but the absolutes are just everything. Like this, since I started reading comics regularly, like weekly in 2020. I didn't make sourdough. I started reading comics during COVID. And this has been my favorite DC anything ever. Like the absolutes. It's just been such a treat. So this is just adding to that. I just love it so much. It's stacking.
Yeah. Yes. And as the comments are alluding to, yes, RIP.
I was gonna try to dance around that, but yeah, no.
I didn't know if we were spoiling.
Yeah, that's I think one of the things that has worked so well about the Absolute Universe, and really it's just been firing on all engines across the board. Like I think that there are titles that I like a little less than other titles, but for the most part, they're all really solid. And I think the idea of like Absolute Evil and their version of a Justice League is like that. Those final pages were like such a that specifically when I went like this, Janelle, that's what I was thinking about in terms of like how this is being formed, the powers at play, what on earth that the Absolutes version of Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, if they ever form as a group, what would they be called even? I would probably say that they might be the Outsiders. Like, I think that would kind of be a good moniker for them, should they assemble, kind of. But I thought that just the back and forth between all of these villains and how they're able to kind of come together makes so much sense in terms of like also pulling back the veil on some of like the earlier events that helped forge this universe. I think like, you know, Matt, you had kind of said, well, like, you know, the main Marvel books aren't really my jam at the moment. And I totally get that because I mean, really, like, no, not knocking the main books right now, but like Absolute and the Ultimate Universe have been so good in terms of versus like their main counterparts. And I think like sales have shown that, sales numbers in general. Like, look at how much Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, and Absolute Wonder Woman have been selling versus their counterparts. And it has just been this shot in the arm across for Marvel and DC, just in general, creating these really interesting takes on these characters. So, and Absolute Evil, just like, has Hawkman ever been scarier? Like
that was nuts.
Than this, because
Yeah.
man, oh man, was he terrifying in this?
Not even that, they
without
just
even
made
saying a word.
but they nailed like, well, how much of a bastard Carter Hall is, just like
Oh yeah,
naming names, turning on everybody, and then just where he ends up. Like, yeah, that was brutal. But like, I mean, it's made Hawkman scary because Hawkman's so goofy often. But like, yeah, when dude is flying around smashing people with maces, like, yeah, that with deadly intent, that is different. Yeah, I didn't know what this book was when I opened it, and I was like, oh, this is a good. I thought it was just like a little interlude, like preview. I didn't know until we got to that twist at the end. And then I was like, you did it. You got me. Like, way to pull together. Which is funny because I'm with people, like, one of the books I struggle the most with is Absolute Green Lantern right now. I opened that after this, and I couldn't even get past the first page when they were talking about all this color spectrum stuff. And I was like, okay. I was like, Al Ewing, you have gotten way too deep in this. Like, and he has a tendency to do that. Al Ewing can either make X-Men Red or he can make the Resurrection of Magneto, which is like a metaphysical, philosophical head F, like about death and the afterlife and rebirth and your soul and the accumulation of your experiences. And it's like, I'm just here for a comic, dog. Like, pull it back just a little bit. It's just
I
like
eat it up with a spoon. Give me that emotional spectrum goodness.
But it's just too complicated. Some of the stuff he's saying, like about the metaphors about yellow and green and what they mean and how they're. It's like, but you know, I did bust out laughing that Al Ewing, who is obviously very, very scientific minded, through modern theory about the God particle, which very few people are up on right now, into a monologue from the Joker, which is just, I was just cracking up about that. It was just so wonderfully comic book absurd that I was just like, this is hilarious. Proving, you know, this is Darkseid's universe by using the God particle and like theoretical science to be like, oh yeah, now we know, like, this is an evil universe. We got to be doing evil stuff. I hope certain parties don't read this book and start going to scientists and be like, well, let me see the God particles here. What are we supposed to be doing? Yeah, but it was good because of the range of personalities in the room, and Al Ewing understands characters very well. And so especially the kind of morally compromised ones, like that's why Magneto was a favorite of his for a reason, right?
Yeah.
But you also had him doing that. What was that guy from Euxis or whatever, the one who came to Mars and just started slaughtering everybody? Like, he also loves
Thanos' his grandfather.
Yeah,
Uranus.
Yeah, whatever that was. So like, he also loves like a crazy ass superpowered, villain. And this was a great, what I loved most about this book was the mix of personalities, right? Yeah. Seeing like all these things. And if you've read all the Absolute books, this was very enriching. Like seeing Hector Hammond try to survive in a room with Ra's al Ghul, Absolute Ra's al Ghul, and everybody careful not to piss off Joker for whatever reason we still don't know yet. Because Hector Hammond, of course, says the one thing he shouldn't say, which is like, is this a joke? And then Ra's al Ghul's like, yo, like, this man never jokes. Shut up. Like, don't say that. Yeah, and it was good. And by the end, it's awesome because you see them form this alliance in this iconic way, but it's a ticking time bomb. Like, these people are going to try to kill each other. Like, it's guaranteed. And I love that because I love messy drama stuff. But I would like to see, I think our Trinity, they should flip it around. They should just be the start of the Legion. They should just call themselves the Legion and go from there and have that, because it sounds badass. But yeah, and we already playing a dangerous game because Joker, you don't know if Joker can see that Brainiac is in this, but you kind of get the feeling maybe he does. And so there's already kind of backstabbing intrigue. All right, so I like this book. I pulled things together, which is what we said we needed, right? We needed something to start to make this all coalesce into the larger world. What's going on? Who are the powers that be? And how does this all operate? And this book does that very effectively. And not to segue us out early, but I was very impressed because the next book also delivered something we said very early on that we needed. And we also got that this week, in which I was deeply impressed by, which was in Superman number 12, Absolute Superman number 12. And I had stood on the hill of saying, this book will live or die by whether we can get an actual focus story about who this Kal-El is, like what his experience have been, what shapes him as a young man, and what's going on inside him, like as a character. And this was that book. After that kind of crazy sci-fi brainiac experience last issue, this was the story I needed. I don't know if I would have saved it for 12, but when it did hit, it hit very deeply. Like, this was a great character defining issue for this Superman for me. And it dealt with all the complicated stuff, right? And I really love that. So yeah, what'd you guys think?
I absolutely loved it. This series has become, I mean, this is right. Absolute Wonder Woman's still my favorite. But man, this is my number 2, clear number 2. And they're like this. Like, I love how far we've come between Cal, who feels like Cal now, and not just this being who's trying to figure himself out. We still have that, but like, this issue really culminated a whole arc for him as a person, as how he views other people. The soul conversations we got in here were fantastic. Like, they did there was so much done there that by the end of it, everything feels earned. And he comes out feeling like, okay, now this is a person that feels like, not that he belongs here, but like knows his mission, knows what's next, and doesn't feel like he's trying to just sort out his own stuff constantly. And so it feels like we took a big step towards not just being called Superman, but like embodying what Superman means to other people and all those things. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. And the art is always killer, and it kills again. There's just so much done well. This series rules.
Yeah, I agree, Matt. I would say that I'm completely with you. I'm tied between this and Wonder Woman, like 1000%. I started off with Superman was my favorite, but Wonder Woman is just so strong. So I don't know. It's really hard, but I just love that they finally gave us more of an explanation of his relationship with Soul in this, and his childhood, and like what he was like when he first came to Earth. And I love that backstory. It helps me really identify with, I love it. I've always been that person. Even in like The Walking Dead, people hated these like backstory episodes, these really slow. And I was like, give me all of that. Like, I love the character development stuff. So I loved that it had the action and like what's happening currently, but it also had that. I thought this was a super strong book, and I can't wait until we get to the end of this, and then I have to decide like which one do I like better. But yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Lana Lang. You know, what an introduction to Lana Lang in this, right? And seeing Lana and Lois kind of bro it up I was like, oh, look at that. You know, ladies doing it for themselves. You know, it's good to see a Lana Lois alliance. Lana Lois alliance. Say that 3 times fast. But I mean, Absolute Superman has been the first book, I think, to set up the biggest stakes for what's happening. This next arc, the Battle of Kansas, is going to be something. I look forward to it. I like how they kind of gangstered Kansas out as a Superman supported cult. Like, that was really great. That whole scene was really tense. And then when everybody's like, oh no, I got you. I got your meal. You F with Superman. We got you, dog. Like, you're in good company. It was just like, those are the moments like that get to me in superhero storytelling, is when you see the effects of the hero, whether it's Spider-Man 2 and the train and New Yorkers, you know, grabbing him and saving him, or moments like this, when you see the effects of the inspiration, when people are ready to stand up against dark things because they've been inspired. That's the stuff I love in superhero stories. And I feel like we're going to get that here. Like, Kansas is going to go through it. We're going to see losses. We're going to see little vignettes of stories, but you know, they're going to battle it out against these forces, and with Superman's help and maybe some other help, we'll see. Well, I think they're going to be able to, you know, hold their own. And I think you know, obviously they didn't know where we were going in society when this happened, but you know, that last page hits a lot different right now when you see that, when you see this military force descending upon this small American town. That hits way different right now. So I'm locked in for this next arc. And I don't know which of these books now, it's getting so murky, which one's the best, because I think they are beginning to get into that comic ebb and flow. Like, here's a great story arc from this one. Here's a great story arc from that one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be locked in for Absolute Superman for the next few months for sure, because I think out of this is our final origin story of how we do get us. I think Damian Gray in the comments or in the chat was saying where we got the hopeful Superman.
Yeah. Yeah. We had to get there, right? I'm excited for the next arc. I cannot wait. This has been fantastic. All right, so we moving into twin agendas here. I'm gonna move into double agendas. So let me get things rolling here. First off, a big game came out last week, but I hadn't spent enough time with it, so I didn't want to talk about it yet. And now I've had enough time to put in with Borderlands 4 to at least go into some impressions. Again, I'm still pretty early, but I have been playing this every chance I get. It has eaten into some of my Marvel Rivals time because I was getting back into that. By the way, Angela is a boss. So she is amazing. I'm so excited. I didn't think we'd see a day when there was 3 Vanguards selected before we even got off the screen. And I'm like, can someone be a healer, please? Can we have a duelist? I'm just saying it's changed some things. But Borderlands 4 is obviously the newest game in this long-running franchise. This is the first one for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. It is, for those who don't know, right, Borderlands has always had this really surreal and chaotic, crass at times sense of humor, kind of led by Claptrap, your little robotic buddy who does not ever stop talking. And you are essentially first-person shooting through missions and quests, and you're a vault hunter, and you're going through the story here. You're on this planet that's kind of run by this dictator, and you're essentially kind of trying to make your way to the vaults, but also there's something established at the beginning that these essentially the people are being controlled by these things in their head. We've kind of talked about this a lot today, actually. People being made to do things by control or being shot with lasers from above. In this case, it's more like Suicide Squad-esque. It's like a chip that gets put in, and it can explode and things like that. So you end up being able to kind of get yours subdued where the person can't control you. And so you kind of go from there into this big story. But the gunplay is obviously one of the biggest hallmarks of this series. It's just incredibly fun. You get so many different guns throughout, guns where you're throwing literally another gun out on your reload, and you're able to shoot that gun and it explodes. You have other ones that are big energy beams. You have things that ricochet. You have different elemental effects. You have radiation, all those things. You have an awesome sniper rifle that actually can spawn a third barrel. And then like it ends up becoming almost like a Gatling gun, but it uses sniper rifle ammo, right? It's kind of crazy. So there's just so many of those things. Plus you can like have throwing knives, you have like giant rocket launchers, all of that stuff. And the mix and match is awesome. And this one really puts an emphasis on gliding and being able to rappel and like grappling hook. So again, you don't feel so locked to the ground. Super fun. I have enjoyed my time with this. I didn't think there would be a time where a sniper rifle felt better than Gears of War, because Gears of War sniper rifle is the sniper rifle I compare every video game to. It was just always felt the best. The reload mechanic helped with that, but like it just felt the best. Borderlands 4 has sniper rifles that I feel surpass that. And it's the first time that's happened, and I just am like, no, that feels great. Some of the shotgun stuff feels amazing. So really enjoying my time with it. Same sense of humor. So if you didn't love it before, you're probably not gonna love it now, but supremely fun. Is anyone else, by the way, jumping into Borderlands 4? Because I need to get into some co-op stuff. It's so fun. This is so stupid fun. I love it. Moving into tabletop realm, Marvel Champions, one of my favorite games for Fantasy Flight Games, a living card game released. One of Janelle's favorite characters, Winter Soldier, got some love in his own hero pack. One of the cool things about Marvel Champions is you're adapting these superheroes that you've known forever, right? But you're trying to do it in card form. So how do you make a card game, a deck, feel like Winter Soldier? Well, you base it all around his arm, his cybernetic arm. So essentially, as you can see in that first image, if you're watching the live show, you can see you start off as his alter ego, and you actually like can equip his arm. It's a card in the deck, and once you find that and equip it, it allows you to then chain other combos when you get other upgrades and things. You're able to activate it. It gives you a resource. You're also able to get more attacks from it. There's a big shield focus in this, obviously. So like you can have multiple sidearms. You can have Nick Fury Sr.'s in this. Captain America's in this as an ally. And there's team up attacks with Black Widow in this as well. So I think they did a really good job. Winter Soldier is kind of a harder one to crack because it's not like he has a clear power set that you can base a whole kind of card deck around. So it becomes a little trickier to make him feel unique. And I think they did a good job of like giving you that. It feels like Winter Soldier. They ran with the arm thing. He's a very aggressive. This is an attack heavy deck. So if you don't like to attack things and do it a lot, it's probably not the character you're going to love. But if you are kind of more aggression based, you can also tweak his pre-con deck and do different things with it. He can have an emphasis on protection and things like that if you want to customize. But right out of the box, I think they did a really good job. It's fun. He's not my favorite character to play in the game. I will probably say some of the X-Men have turned out to be some of my favorite characters, but I really enjoyed him. For the Winter Soldier fans, I think you'll find a lot to love. Last but not least, I'm moving into something super cutesy. I'm going to use a term that is super popular right now, cozy. It's a cozy game. And this is Gloomies from Ravensburger, makers of Disney Lorcana and some other games I really enjoy. Gloomies is an adorable game. If you're watching the live show, you see like the box, all these little Gloomies are like these little ghost-like characters, and you can recruit them along the way as you go in turns, and they can help you get extra cards. The basis of this game is planting flowers on your space-like board, and then the next phase, you then kind of try and pick those flowers, and you're trying to essentially kind of assemble these like bigger mission cards, which are also like big Gloomies on your board. It's one of those games that actually plays pretty quickly. It only has 2 phases. It's a game that is super approachable. It's gorgeous. Like it has a very appealing look, but it's also very new player friendly. So if you have people who don't play a lot of board games, I think you'll be able to teach them within 10-15 minutes how this works. You're doing your own thing. There's not like a lot of messing with other people, but because you're all drawing from a central board, obviously there's going to be things that when people pick other stuff, you can't pick those. There's bonuses that you can have that customize that make every playthrough feel different. But again, it's not so overwhelming. It's kind of a medium to light game. And I just think the overall look and feel and how quickly it played was like a big hit for me. Plus, I just love cutesy stuff, man. And look at those little characters, are so adorable. So yes, Gloomies is out right now. I heartily recommend it, especially if you are having several people jump into a game who haven't jumped into board games before. I think this is one of those great introductory games. So heartily recommend Gloomies. I have not played Ghost of Yote.
All 4 of you, this will appeal to. Shout out to all 4 of you.
Okay, you said that with K-pop Demon Hunters. You said that about so many things in the past, and you have been owned on that multiple times.
This is true. I'll eat that crow. I'm willing to bet I'm not going to be on this one, though. But we'll see. Gloomies could be the next big thing.
Hey,
we'll see. You've been right. There's just times I'm like, we should really vet these. Like, this one's nuts. Yes. All right. I don't believe that commercial. I don't believe that group of people sits around and plays Gloomies. I just don't believe it. But
there's a lot of people, man. It's like a multi-million-dollar industry.
I mean, you put me onto a lot of tabletop things. I think this is just where my train goes down a different track. That's fair. That is why we call it Matt's Agenda, because
very true.
Matt's And today, Evan's got to go pop off on something. So, Evan, why don't you tell us what you've been up to on your agenda?
I have an agenda, guys. Gather around, kiddies, because I have quite the agenda this week. One of the reasons, well, there were two reasons why I couldn't be on last week. One of the big ones was that I attended the SCAD Animation Festival here in Atlanta, Georgia, where I was able to talk with the co-creators of Phineas and Ferb, the co-creator of Tiny Chef, as well as see the premiere episode of The Mighty Nine, which is the next sequel to Critical Role's. I'll talk with you, Matt, because I'm not allowed to say anything about it, but I will ping you after this as you're a big fan of Legend of Vox Machina. But the other thing that I did, just in time for the spooky season, was that I happened to go to Universal Studios Orlando and check out the Halloween Horror Nights and go to all 10 of the haunted houses. Guys, for our listeners out there and for everyone here, me and my buddy, we went down and we walked 26 miles in one day. It was, we walked around a lot. But I did a ranking of all 10 houses in terms of from least enjoyable to most enjoyable. One of the things, I am a huge horror nut on top of being anime, comic books, everything. And I will say that I love going to all these haunted houses in general around the country. But Halloween Horror Nights, one of the things that I will say is that all the houses were fantastic. And really, they were in competition with one another in terms of where I ranked them. I was talking with Matt about it because obviously me and Matt, huge WWE nerds. And one of the biggest this year, a house that they had was called WWE's The Wyatt Six, which is based on the tag team Twisted Family, originally started by Bray Wyatt when he was The Fiend. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Then continued with Uncle Howdy. And Matt, maybe you can fill me in. I totally forget the name of the wrestler who actually plays Uncle Howdy.
Bo Dallas or
Bo Dallas. Yeah. So they create this house that is able to kind of be a tribute to Bray, as well as kind of show off the different members of the Wyatt Six. Unfortunately, I felt that was a little lower on the list, which is kind of a testament to just how good some of these houses were. You can read my current ranking on Comicbook.com in terms of where I rank all of these houses. A lot of folks will say that the Terrifier house was their number one. I was surprised in that it wasn't my number one. It is definitely the goriest house. Unsurprisingly, it is the goriest house of the bunch. It is able to kind of perfectly recreate all three movies in progression. I thought that was really impressive. But for me, some of the original houses that are must-sees for those who are going to attend are Galkin, Monsters of the North, which is kind of a Norse mythology one. Just amazing. There's El Artista, a Spanish haunting that is able to do just some amazing things. But for me, my number one of this house, and probably my favorite haunted house experience ever, and I don't say that lightly because man, oh man, have I gone to some haunted houses. The Jason Universe house, absolutely amazing. The way that they are able to not only pay homage to Friday the 13th, the series, but the things that they are able to do in terms of how scary it is. Me and my buddy were walking through it, and it felt as though Jason was following us throughout the entire house, which was so creepy in general. I thought it worked really well. It doesn't break the wheel in terms of like it doesn't have like big mechanical things, but it recreates Camp Crystal Lake so well in terms of like you feel like you're there, as well as seeing all the different iterations of Jason throughout the years. It works so well in that regard. So that was my far and away my number one. I think that there are also haunted houses on the list that I wasn't able to mention, like Five Nights at Freddy's and Fallout, that work really well in terms of the production, in terms of, man, if you're a Five Nights at Freddy's fan and you see those animation, like those animatronics that are brought to life, just amazing. I had so much fun. Me and my buddy, we had 3 butter beers throughout the day. we we went to the Diagon Alley where we were able to see Death Eaters walking around. It's so much fun. I would recommend that you visit Halloween Horror Nights. It's just amazing.
Was this your first time?
This was my first time ever going to this.
Oh my God.
So,
okay, so I used to go. My parents
what?
used to dump me in 7th grade. They'd be like, go enjoy Halloween Horror Nights.
Man, your parents were awesome.
They're awesome, yeah.
I wish my parents had just dumped me there. I wish that Art the Clown was my babysitter growing up. That would have been really fun.
Wow.
But yeah,
that's being from Orlando. That's
there you go.
Yeah.
So much fun. If for our audience, if you haven't gone to one of these before, go at least once. I'm going to go. I'm going to drag people to this moving forward because I'm a 6-hour drive away from Orlando. So I just had a blast with that. So yeah, could not recommend highly enough. And I had to mention it. Go visit Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. So much fun.
Lengthy reviews for no money. I love it. All right. But shout out to the people who are sponsoring this show, Global Comics. Make sure you guys go check out some books on Global Comics. Get your gold membership subscription set up because there's exciting things coming down the pike. All right. We are going to get out of here. For my own agenda, I'm going to say no thanks to all of you listening because as of now, I just got a message and confirmed it that, Halo, the TV series, is one of the top things on Netflix right now. And all of you who are jumping in, Monster, the Ed Gein story's out. Oh, boy, we got to start that. Oh, you are all
Bring Halo back.
Bring Halo back. That I did not realize that until
Don't listen to Janelle. It needs to say that.
Bring Halo back. That's right. Janelle's right. Halo's slept
you're
on.
lucky I didn't realize Monster the Ed Gein story was out today. But you know what? That's okay because now you guys can binge the whole thing and we can talk about Monster the Ed Gein story next week. So jump on into that feel-good experience where you're going to talk about Monster the Ed Gein story next week. But shout out to everybody who finally made Halo a success. All we did was sit down and do live after shows and talk to the cast and hype every episode. We sold part of our souls and some of our children to promote season 2. It was all fun, man. But now it's climbing up the Netflix charts. So yay. Check out our interviews. They're still on the Comicbook Nation YouTube page. Matt nailed every one of those cast interviews. We had a whole after show. So better late than never, I guess. All right. That'll do it for this episode of Comic Book Nation. We've did more than the thing this week. Shout out to Chris Killian and congratulations to him on his new comic book, I Saw Santa. You guys be sure to read something good on Global Comics. Be sure to go out and watch something in theaters and support your theaters and check out stuff on TV so you can keep up with us. If you want to talk to us, you can always go over to forum.comicbook.com. The forums are heating up. There's a lot of interesting debates. We're meeting some new friends. People who have new, great kind of point of views are showing up as regulars, and we love to see all of our podcast listeners over there as well. All right, Matt, Janelle, Evan, thank you guys for getting up with me this morning. Thanks for hopping on. Everybody go enjoy your weekend. You all enjoy your weekend. Everybody be safe, party, have fun, and look over your shoulders out here. Don't get too soft. All right, we're Comic Book Nation. We out. Peace.
Bye.